Welcome in, everybody. Lazy Booking Podcast live on A2D Radio, talking wrestling with you. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow. Lots to talk about. Let's get started.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Who's that kid? Nick. He looks like Beaker from Muppets.
The one on FS1, Nick Wright.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah. I got something.
That's
for
amazing.
I
love that.
If I get 5 women and they're all in the same room with me, we're going at it at 110%.
Welcome in, everybody. Live, A2DRadio.com. I am your host of the Lazy Booking Podcast, Chrome, and I am very happy to be joined by a good friend of mine, a wrestling historian, amateur, and that's only by title because I know differently. A guy who you'll see periodically on the show as a guest co-host, Eric Archer. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you on. We always have fun conversations about wrestling. We figure let's take it on the air, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, man, with the rotating panel. So lots to talk about this week with Raw and Smackdown, King of the Ring coming up, Saturday night's main event coming up, all these different things. But first and foremost, we got to show a little love to our sponsor, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy. Him and his award-winning team can assist you guys with anything, any long-lasting, any back pains or any kind of issues like that. Make sure you hit up the doc. Physical locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We want to welcome in all of our viewers and commenters as well. We encourage you guys join the conversation here on A2DRadio.com. And as always, Eric, we're going to open with an opening topic, an agree to disagree question, because that is the namesake of A2D Radio. And I was kicking around a lot of different topics. I don't know if we go right to Gunther and Goldberg, which is on the agenda for this conversation. Cena doing double duty, trying to manage Truth and Punk. But ultimately, I know with you on and a guy who is somewhat of a wrestling historian, I felt like you were ideal to have on to discuss the concept of the King and Queen of the Ring. So our agree to disagree poll topic at this time. WWE has rehabilitated the King and Queen of the Ring concept. Agree or disagree? And again, anybody out there, like, subscribe, and follow. So you'll kick it off. I'll reply, buddy. What do you think?
All right. So do I think that the WWE has rehabilitated the King and Queen of the Ring? I'm gonna say I agree. I'm kind of in the middle, but I think they're on the right track. And the reason I think that is because I think they've done a really nice job of establishing stakes in these tournaments. Of course, the winner of each of the tournaments is going to get a championship match at SummerSlam. I think back in the early '90s when they did start the King of the Ring as a pay-per-view, there were stakes most of the time. And I think the winner was built up to normally be the next person. Look at Stone Cold Steve Austin is your prime example there in '96. Triple H, Brock Lesnar, just to name a few. But I think right now, especially with the Queen of the Ring tournament, I think it's a great opportunity. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later as far as the next challenger for either of those championships. As we know, there was a significant injury last night on Raw, so it's definitely a good opportunity to get somebody right into that title picture. But I think they're on the right track. I wouldn't say a full disagree or a full agree. I think they're on the right track, but I also think that it could be better as far as revamping this. And I think they're on the right track. I did like the concept of the fatal four ways for the first round. It got more it got more talent involved, which is awesome. You want to see as much talent as you want, especially with the rosters that they have right now. And going back to the women's division, there's a boatload of talent, and utilizing it. I think we saw that in these fatal 4-way matches. But I think they're definitely on the right track.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. Obviously, the concept goes even beyond the pay-per-views, but I think in the foresight of what the concept is now, that's kind of what sticks out as the standard for King of the Ring, now Queen of the Ring, right? And I do think, we love those, and in nostalgic purposes, they're really fun. But it's almost like when you go back and watch WrestleMania 4, right? These tournaments, these one-night tournaments seem to get so, it just drags and it tends to be so long, right? So, I feel like even now, like last year they did a PLE for it, right? This year it's more, I think Night of Champions is the finals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I like the idea that they added stakes to it, like a legitimate stake, not just a crown to walk around with, even though Owen Hart is the standard of all of that, right?
Absolutely.
And then we got the Macho King and all that. But I think that adding stakes to it, a la Money in the Bank and Royal Rumble, it did elevate it, and it did seem like it was taken more seriously. And I love your point on opening rounds being fatal 4-ways, because it's a way of adding all of that talent. And some of them, they're not going to win. Some of them you might get surprises, but putting young talent, we talk about this all the time, right, Eric, in our group chat, having that young talent have the ability to work with Randy Orton and these other really experienced guys, having Carmelo Hayes. We've seen him work with some of them, but regardless, like, it's an opportunity to get in there and work with some amazing established talent. And B, you can get moments similar as you do with like the Royal Rumble and whatnot, right? So if you hear a little bell jingling around, it's my but you get like, case in point, and I know we're going to touch on this momentarily, I wanted to see Stephanie Vaquer and Asuka, and to tease that, and you get, it's a way that WWE could see, is there something there? Let's see what the initial reaction is. And I felt like it was really successful in the early going, and we'll touch on that shortly. But yeah, I really do think they revamped it in a way. And again, the PLE last year was cool just to kind of establish an importance. But similar to what I think we talk about with Money in the Bank, where, could we put that back on Mania, or could we have one at Mania and one at SummerSlam to make it feel special? Because the pay-per-view, I like that they're not doing that this year. I like that they're taking it to Night of Champions, or if they would have held off and did, whatever the next PLE is, I think, I guess they would be. It's not SummerSlam, right? Is it?
I think it's SummerSlam.
Jeez, I'm like, so at the SummerSlam.
In the SummerSlam, right? Like I said, I think, and going to those, touching on those fatal 4-ways again real quick, I think they enhance storylines along with those fatal 4-ways. And I think you can say, all right, there were run-ins in half of the matches, but in those run-ins, they enhance storylines and use those to their advantage. That no DQ format where anything really goes. I mean, essentially anybody could run in. But I think you saw there were some really good spots with the 4. And I think whoever's producing them, and then of course the talent are doing a really nice job. They definitely have the formula down to those to make those fatal 4-ways work. But yeah, I think they're on the right track. I agree with you that the PLE, I don't think it needs to be a complete PLE or pay-per-view as it was back in the day. I think, to your point, they were dragged out. They were just matches just to have matches, and you kind of already knew, for the most part, who was probably going to be in the finals in a lot of those, and who wasn't. So I think just having them, on Raw and SmackDown, and then having the finals as part of a PLE like Night of Champions, I think is the way to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And I already think that they've started to establish some people in that in just the initial concept. And obviously we saw qualifying matches, fatal 4-way matches on the men's side. So we got Randy Orton, who will go up against Sami Zayn in the first. I don't know, is it the opening round or the second round? I don't even know.
I think they're considering it the second round. I think the opening round was the fatal 4-ways.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that, and then on the other side, right, we have what's going to be a pretty big matchup next week on Raw, because I think Sami Zayn and Orton is going to be a Smackdown match. On Raw, you're going to get Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, which they did the stare down, obviously, at the end of the show this week and teased it. And yeah, I just think it's a really interesting grouping there, obviously for very established talent. So one of the other questions I thought to open with was, my question was going to be agree or disagree. Sami Zayn needs to win this, right? But let's take all factors into the equation. You know, Jey Uso just drops the title. Kind of questions on, is he really a main eventer? You know, Cody Rhodes on his road to redemption to get to John Cena. Randy Orton had the match won. He got screwed out of his title. And obviously Sami Zayn is, almost like, even though we got the yeet movement and whatnot in the Cody story, it feels like in terms of where they came from to where they got to where they are now, Sami Zayn is the modern day Daniel Bryan story, a little over a decade later. So yeah. Of these four competitors and knowing the storylines going into this and where they should go, who is the person that needs to win this the most?
I think I agree with your assessment. You're thinking of Sami Zayn needing to win. Do I think he's going to win? No. But I feel like where his character is and where his story has gone, he's kind of been very close to getting the world title. Definitely that's his goal. He's expressed it multiple times, and he's seeing other superstars get that opportunity and win the gold, like Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso most recent. So I think for him, his character, I think he would benefit the most from winning King of the Ring, because then he's made it to the championship match, where it's kind of eluded him since the Bloodline storyline with Roman. That's the closest he's gotten to the world title. And then, of course, WrestleMania 40, he won the Intercontinental title, but he's kind of just been in the same spot, waiting for that opportunity. So I think Sami Zayn would be the one that would benefit the most from winning the King of the Ring. With that being said, I do not think he's going to win, but I could see the benefit if he was to win.
We're going to dive into your prediction after this. I think just for pure reasoning of he hasn't gotten the big one yet, I do think there's a strong benefit for Jey Uso to win this. But could you recreate that movement or that moment of like a Daniel Bryan and get, and have it at SummerSlam, which is now a 2-night event, which is supposed to be a spectacle on par with WWE's WrestleMania? Do I think that could be something that could be an opportunity? 100%. I do think so. I just think there's a compelling story. Cody maybe doesn't necessarily need it at this time, and you can schmaz him, to have him drop. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you're getting Jey and Sami in the finals. I don't know how necessarily you knock Randy Orton off unless you have Seth be the guy to do it. Not Seth. Maybe Cena. I don't know. Maybe you get there. Or LA Knight or somebody. I don't know. But
I think the good thing about these four is that you can make an argument for any of these four to win this tournament. You could, the redemption story for both Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, Randy Orton as well. He did get a shot at Cena a few months back, but you could make an argument for that as well. And also, of course, Cody. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as far as where I see, the prediction go with there. But I think all four, you could make an argument for winning the tournament. And I would say the same with the Queen of the Ring as well. I could see, I think they've done a really good job of booking as far as these final four in both tournaments. And I think you can make arguments for all 8 for a championship match. And that's what you want. You don't want it to be as predictable as all right, well, we know this talent's going to win because, just seeing the way the direction's going, but you could definitely make a case for all of them, which is exactly what you want.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And one of the big issues, one of the big conversations about how predictable WWE can be. I know it's some people were very hot or very cold one way or the other in terms of the Triple H era. But I do think if this was the Vince era, this would be mapped out and it would be as clear as a pane of glass to know where the direction is going. I do think they've done a better job, particularly in these kinds of situations, to give a reason to believe that if not every competitor, at least 80% of the competitors or 75% of the competitors could win this match. So, yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. And as far as the women go, let's slide over to the women. So we have Roxanne Perez, who advances. She's going to take on Jade Cargill on SmackDown. And on the other side, interesting, Alexa Bliss finally gets a little shine here. And she's going to go up against Asuka, the returning Asuka, which was really great to see. Let's ask the same question here as far as these women go first. Who needs this more out of these women? Because these are very different types of storylines and backgrounds that are going into this. So I think it is a little more difficult to specifically pinpoint somebody.
Yeah, I agree there. I would say as far as who needs it the most, I think Jade Cargill needs it the most. And the reason I think that is there's been all this hype for the last few years, ever since she came over from AEW, and she hasn't had an opportunity for a world title. So it's like, when is that time going to happen? And I think the time could be now. But again, the booking is really strong. Whereas on the other side, I mean, I can see Roxanne Perez winning. They've really been pushing her, and now she's aligned herself in the Judgment Day. You could see that, and you could also see Asuka, who's returning, and I know they probably want to see her come out strong. So that could be an option, and also Alexa Bliss. But I think the one who needs it the most, I feel like it's Jade Cargill, just because of all the hype that came, when she came in, and then she was out with the kayfabe injury or whatever injury scenario we had, and then and there's still unfinished business with Naomi, I'm sure, and then with her with the Money in the Bank contract, you never know what could if she were to possibly win the tournament, go to SummerSlam, win the title, and then get cashed on by Naomi. In that kind of situation, that I could see that happening as well. But I think Jade needs it the most.
Yeah, see, I see your point. There's a strong argument for Jade. I would go in a different direction. I don't think Roxanne necessarily needs it. She's young. It's early. It's a good spotlight just to put her in this spot. I think Jade would benefit more if it were to be something down the line of having the main event spot against, say, Naomi or Bianca. I think at some point we need to tie that up. So I don't, and with Naomi being the Money in the Bank holder right now, I don't think you need to rush to that because, obviously if you want to incorporate the title into that, you don't necessarily have to put it on Jade at this point. And then I look at the other side. Asuka's one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I think she's amazing. I think she's been undervalued by part of the internet wrestling community.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think not just from the in-ring work. I mean, she has a definable character. I think in what is proven to be very difficult to come from Japan and work in the United States and not have it be your second or your third language, like fluently. We're going to discuss them at the end of the show, but I say to you guys all the time, I think the Okada run has been very difficult for me, other than he walks around and he calls people bitches. Like, I just don't see anything specifically. Yeah. The in-ring matches are cool, but like Nakamura still has great matches. So like, why does one get the benefit of that and not the other? Because of a reputation? Like, now you're here and I see you full time. So I think in terms of that and being able to establish yourself as a dominant character and really maximize by saying less, I think she has shined over a number of the Japanese talent that's come, maybe even at the top of the list, if I'm being completely candid right now.
I absolutely agree. I think, and you see, even with talent in WWE currently, I think it's also good to see that it actually works with Asuka and with Nakamura, with talent like Julia and Io. I think it's a good way to see, to try different things. You see the vignettes that Nakamura's done. You see it a little with Julia. So I think they've seen that it works. So, using that formula to build without having to say a whole lot, which is very important because the character development is extremely important, especially in WWE where they they're more of the storytelling and more of the character building versus AEW. So I tend to agree that she's definitely been she's had her ups, she's had her downs, she's been relegated down, she's been up and down the card, but she's reinvented herself, but not completely change. And if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
I think she's done a really nice job as a babyface and as a heel. Where and of course, in Damage Control, I think she fit in really well there and made that group even stronger. So I think I would definitely agree that she's definitely come a long way, and I could definitely see her win this tournament without a doubt. And I again, who needs it more versus who I think is going to win are probably are different, but it just goes to show you how fun this all is. It's fun to just play quarterback and be like, all right, this person here and this person here, I can see this person win it. It's so great to be able to do that. It's really fun. It's a good time right now. And I know Triple H gets a lot of flack for the booking right now, and I'm a critic as well. There have been things that I really don't like, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think this they're doing a really good job with the Queen and King of the Ring tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the person that needs to win, honestly, is Alexa, because Alexa's been gone for somewhere around the ballpark of 2 years. She comes back, you get a Rumble moment with her. You get an Elimination Chamber moment with her. You get a thumbs up over there, buddy. Nice.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I think it's made kind of people question, why has she come back? Like, what are they doing with her? Why even bring her back if it's this and that? And that's a conversation for another time. I think that was her own reasoning. She came back when she was ready. And I've also made the argument on numerous occasions that if you're not factored into WrestleMania plans after the Royal Rumble and maybe Elimination Chamber, you're really not seen. Out of sight, out of mind makes it more impactful when you do come back, a la Nia Jax, thrown right back into the mix after the fact. So people would say, why do we get her at Rumble? Why do we get her Elimination Chamber? We don't see her. Because at that point, you're either focusing on your programs or your talent featured in them, and you're putting people in there who are going to, lack of a better term, they're going to do the job for them to elevate them for WrestleMania. So I think at this point, though, because there's been a lot of questions around her, I do think she could benefit the most at this point from getting that highlighted spot at SummerSlam.
And I am one of those people that were like, Alexa, where's she at? She was at, like, what's going on? Why isn't she on? Like, she got a huge pop at the Royal Rumble. Where's she at? Looking back now, of course, I think it was probably the best thing for both those talents that you just discussed, Alexa and Nia. But I think also that can also, for the talent themselves, be something that is disheartening, like being left off WrestleMania. Like, everybody wants to be on WrestleMania. That's the goal, right? Mm-hmm. But I think those two are pros, and they've been around long enough to say, all right, you know what? WrestleMania, okay, I'm gonna, get healthy, especially like Nia, who had been going full 2024 as Raw Women's Champion, Smackdown Women's Champion for a while. So, heal up, get ready, and off we go. So they're two pros that I'm sure didn't just wallow and like, all right, I'm not going to be on WrestleMania. Okay. They said, all right, I'm going to get better. I'm going to be ready for whatever's ready for me. When you got something for me, let me know, and we'll run with it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's a really compelling situation as it is right now with them. It's going to be really interesting. So you said who you think needs it and who you think will win. There it is. Thumbs up. Who you think will win it are two totally different things. So, or maybe they're not, but so let's go to the men's. Give me your finalists and give me your winners, and then we'll move on to the women. I'm going to do the same. Then we'll go over to the women.
All right. So on the men's side, Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn. See, I think I know who you're picking to win this. We're definitely gonna have different answers. Just hearing what you were saying earlier. I'm going Randy Orton over Sami Zayn. And then I am going Cody Rhodes over Jey Uso. And we're finally going to get our Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes match at Night of Champions. And I think we're going to see Cody Rhodes win the King of the Ring and go on to the SummerSlam to get back that WWE Championship. Did you want to say yours, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll throw in. On the men's side, we definitely have varying answers because I have two totally opposite winners here. I do think we get
great about this.
Yeah, 100%. I think that we will get Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. And you know what? Because of the Saudi shows, it wouldn't shock me that that's where they decide to do it. I would hope not. I believe that they would rather save a match like that for a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania, just to be able to tell that unbelievable backstory. But I do think at this point, when I look at the two guys who need it the most right now, I look at Jey and Sami. So I think that's what you get. I think you get, and it's kind of, I'm almost talking myself to a different winner. I was going to say, I think Sami wins this thing, but I'm actually starting to curve around to Jey because they're setting it, like, to me, it's setting it up where, for Jey to get back and get redemption and beat Gunther again. To me, they're teasing it already. And in my opinion, it's 1-1, right? Even though he lost other matches, in terms of title matches, it's 1-1. B, it is that more of a compelling story to have him have to go through two of his best friends in order to get there. So I talked myself out of Sami. I think Sami needs it the most, but I think Jay ends up winning this and going on to the SummerSlam.
And like you said, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised with that either. And I think that's where we go back to our point of it's these four semifinalists. It could be, you could interchange them, and you're getting a good story, and you've got compelling story for any four of these guys on the men's side. The thing with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton that really, entices me with this is, they're both, very over baby faces. And I think, it'd be very challenging to turn either of them at this point, especially, right now, Randy is, like, anytime Randy comes out and that crowd is singing the song, he's I don't think he could do any wrong. On the other hand, Cody, I know he got booed at WrestleMania, but that was that crazy Vegas crowd. I don't take too much into that. I think he's still super over as he's been, but I think that match, having that mutual respect for each other, I could see where, that would be a really good point. And I think also, I think there's more after that too. You could go even further and do it again, and it would still be a compelling story. But also, I guess any of them would be. It's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be very intriguing. Someone's gonna be right. Hopefully, one of us is right. Otherwise, we're gonna be coming on here and you may never see me again.
No, not at all. You're doing a great job. Yes, I agree with a lot of that. They've really done a good job on the men's side. Now, on the women's side, same question. Who you got?
So, what do we got? Jade versus Roxanne. So, I think Jade Cargill is going to win over Roxanne, and I think Asuka's going to defeat Alexa Bliss. I do think we may see Charlotte Flair involved there, as we've seen, that whole dynamic kind of evolve, where as we saw in the match on SmackDown, where Alexa got the pin before Charlotte's figure eight. So I think we could see Charlotte interference there or something of that nature. In the finals, although I do think Jade needs it more, I do think Asuka is going to win Queen of the Ring and go on for a championship match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I agree with you. In your logic, I think Alexa needs it the most. I don't think I'm ready for Jade. I do think if Asuka wins, right? So they never officially declared the breakup of the ladies in that was the name of the group.
Damage Control.
Damage Control. Jeez, that quick it went out of my mind. Of Damage Control. And interesting, you're seeing Kyrie have her own entrance now. So they kind of are together when it's convenient and not.
Mm-hmm.
I do think SummerSlam, if you're looking for a really high energy, hard hitting, strong style worked women's match, I think you get that Asuka Io match. I think it would be tremendous.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I'm on the Asuka train here. I think Asuka might pull this out and we get that Asuka Io match, which again, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I could see, direction going elsewhere, like especially to your point with Alexa, I could see her winning and then, getting in that picture. And I think that would be probably, that of course she's on SmackDown, so that would be Tiffany Stratton.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think Asuka, especially she's just coming back. You want to establish, she's still got it. She had that nice little promo after the match last night where the fire's still burning. I think she's got the momentum, especially because of that hot return and the nice vignette from last week. I think they're really pushing for her to get right back into the title picture.
Yeah, and I hope so. I think that would be a tremendous match. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on the next couple of weeks. We'll see how this plays out. Yeah, at this point, we're going to jump around a little bit because there's a lot of different things that's been going on. But I think, obviously, the next topic is one of the most talked about things. So, obviously, we need to go here. That's right. It is 2025, and Goldberg has returned again. So, we've heard the rumors of this coming along. Obviously, they teased it. It seems like this is the retirement match. Gunther comes out and he's addressing, was it Seth? No. Yeah, Seth Rollins, right?
Yeah, he was,
calling Seth out. Yeah, he was calling out Seth. Oh, man. Calling out Seth Rollins. And then the music hits, right? It's amazing. 2025, and for all the flack he gets, Goldberg still gets an incredible pop when his music hits. So Goldberg comes out and, cuts a pretty good promo, I think. Pretty short and sweet with Gunther. I think Gunther did a good job here, kind of not taking it seriously at first, and then you kind of see a look of a little bit of a despair and a little bit of, oh shit, this is what we got going on. So I want to get your thoughts on this. They declare Goldberg is going to challenge Gunther at Saturday night's main event. I think it's July 12th for that event. So, and it seems like this is the retirement match. He had the shirt that looked like it said Goldberg's last ride. So your thoughts on the segment, Goldberg's return and him challenging Gunther, which seems to be the stopgap, obviously, to get to SummerSlam, right?
Yeah.
So, are you cool with this? Do you have an issue with this? Is this a ratings pop? Let's collect all your thoughts together on this one.
All right. So full disclosure, I am not the biggest Goldberg guy.
A lot of people that aren't.
Yeah. With that being said, I fully respect what he's done. Especially WCW and winning the world title and his undefeated streak and beating Hogan in the Georgia Dome and then having his run in WWE in 2003, winning the world title. And then, I would say my most favorite run of his was when he returned the first time. I think that was so well done when he challenged Lesnar and he beat Lesnar in was 80 seconds, 90 something to that effect. It was just so spontaneous and out of nowhere. And I think he was booked really well. I think, and I think he won the Universal title from Kevin Owens. And then they went into WrestleMania and he dropped the title back to Brock, or to Brock. So with that, I think that would have been the most perfect stop for Goldberg. However, we know that hasn't been actually the case. And I had to go back and take a look at some of the matches that he's had since that run. And that was 2014, 2015. I could be, it may not have been that long ago. It may have been,
I want to say it's 2017.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I think it was definitely, I agree. All right. So since then, he's had matches with Undertaker. He had 2 matches with Bobby Lashley, which I completely forgot about. Of course, the Undertaker one was not very good, and he almost killed Taker.
I forgot about the Lashley one too. But
he had 2 matches with Bobby Lashley, and I think he actually had one at WrestleMania. He also had Braun Strowman. He had, and I think that was the Pandemic Mania, where he dropped the title to Braun. He also had the Fiend, and we all know how that one went. And then he also had Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam. So he just long story short, he's had many opportunity to kind of have his last match, and for whatever reason, and I get it. You know, to your point, the pop last night was amazing. It's not my cup of tea, and I don't think that this match should be for the World Heavyweight title, because I am of that old school mentality that you need to earn your opportunity for the World Heavyweight title. You don't just come back after several years and say, all right, you're next. You're mine because you're next. You need to earn that opportunity for the World Heavyweight title. And I get it. Like, all right, he's earned it by his reputation. And we've seen
every single one.
Right. And we've seen that not just with him, we've seen it with other talent where they just go in and they automatically get a world title shot because it's an attraction. And I do think, to your point, it is to attract heads because we all know what else is on that date. AEW All In. So yep. I think this is a strategic move by WWE. And I think it's smart in that you have a huge name that's going to be wrestling for the World Heavyweight title in his hometown in his last match. I mean, it's good storytelling, and I get why they're doing it. I just don't think that the logic is there of the world just being picky about it and being the wrestling fan that I am, that I don't think it needed the title. And argument could be that Jey Uso lost the title because we want to put the championship on Gunther for this championship match on Saturday night's main event. It makes the match mean more because it's for the World Heavyweight title. Now, there are some that argue that Jey Uso probably shouldn't even have gotten that opportunity and Gunther should have never lost it in the first place. But to have him drop the title for this particular match, I don't think was necessary. I don't think this match needed the World Heavyweight title. I think you already had the story from what happened last time in Atlanta. But I totally understand why they're doing it. And I think it will work.
Yeah, I think it's a ratings boost for NBC and Saturday night's main event. And I can't fault them for it. Again, does it need to be for the world title? No. I take it for what it is, though, specifically because he's wearing a shirt that says "The Last Ride." Like, I think at this point we're good. But we knew we were going to get here. I'm glad it's not a PLE. I'm glad it's not a Saudi Arabia show. Saturday night's main event is perfectly fine. Some people love those shows, some don't. I think you get moments out of them, which is again, that's to me a highlight. He has meant a lot to the business, love him or hate him. Whether you have the Bret Hart passion for him or not. I grew up a Goldberg guy, but as I've gotten older, the treads run on the tires for me. So, it seems like this is it. If it is, I'm cool with it. If we get another Saudi show down the road, I mean, he was limping coming up the aisle, but he's not a spring chicken anymore either. And it's very clear, it's a lot of wear and tear, not just from WWE and WCW and pro wrestling, but from, obviously the NFL and college football. So,
yep.
To me, it's just kind of cool. It's a good spot to do it. Gives Gunther something to do. I don't know how big of a win it is, but it's a different opponent. So, it's somebody that's beaten Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley and some of these other guys we mentioned. So, there's a resume there. So, I think it'll be interesting. It'll be entertaining. It's not going to be very long. I saw Gunther put a tweet out and he said, I think he said, "I'm next?" ? No problem. I have 3 minutes to spare. So, yeah.
That's great. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it is his favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
Over Bret the Hitman Hart. And I mean, it'd be pretty hilarious if you could get Bret to come in and be the special guest referee for that or have him involved. Of course, that's probably not going to happen, but just little fantasy booking. I think that would just be hysterical if you could get Bret and then they could kind of like mend fences, Goldberg and Bret. But I don't think Bret has it in him to let that bitter pill swallow that bitter pill.
He has never been a guy to let any pills.
No, not at all.
Obviously, other big point here this week. So John Cena comes out and kind of is met by CM Punk. A bunch of other talent comes out. I'm really already liking the promos between Punk and Cena. There's always been an unbelievable ability for these two to discuss and to build a program. So I'm excited we're getting this one more time. I think we deserve it. I think Cena and Punk deserve this moment together because to me, in my opinion, excuse me, three greatest rivalries, and I hold them all pretty much on the same level. You know, some people throw out Rock and all that. No. To me, it's Randy Orton. I mean, the history, they came up together. It's Edge, which we're not going to get, and it's CM Punk. So, you know, I would say a very underrated rivalry in terms of maybe it didn't have the longevity, but in the year or 2 years that we kind of got it off and on, it was really good. Was Cena and AJ, which is another one.
Yeah.
I'd love to see getting one more of those on the way since both of them are kind of winding down.
Mm-hmm.
But then you throw. So Cena's kind of backing out, right? As everybody's kind of making their bid for the world title, the WWE title. And then R-Truth, Ron Killings, comes out, attacks Cena, comes in and he attacks him again at another point. And now here we are, right? Well, this is when he gets him after Punk. So now we've made the match. On SmackDown, John Cena versus Ron Killings. I don't know if I'm upset that it's not on a bigger stage. I don't know if it's going to lead to something bigger, which I'm hoping. But I'm interested because obviously I can't imagine this is going to be, you know, the wind down of everything. So, you know, what are your thoughts on obviously Punk and Cena that we're getting in Saudi Arabia on Night of Champions? And then throwing in the curveball where Cena's now, you know, he's starting to burn a lot of bridges, and they're including where now he has to look over his shoulder for Ron Killings R-Truth as well.
Yeah. So first with CM Punk and Cena, and I'm with you. I think this feud going back to 2011, 2012. You know, I think really it was only a matter of time. I think Cena probably, you know, when planning this final year, had some matches that he wanted to get through, and he got through you know, Randy, and now I think CM Punk is the next one. I really think you know, their promo work is just his promo work is just outstanding. Punk. I think I love that they're leaning into the whole situation with him not wanting to go to Saudi and the hypocrite stuff, and Punk going into it and then back and forth. Like he's got to chase him. Like, if you want me, you got to come get me in Saudi Arabia. All right, fine. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I think you know, Friday night's promo was just what they needed for it. Not that it needed much more. I think the story already tells itself, right? Especially those that have been watching, you know, and understand, you know, that the whole thing with, you know, Punk leaving with the championship. It's going to be where, you know, it's going to be really fun. And I think it's good to see that they're going to get the match. I kind of thought they were going to wait a little longer. I thought maybe that could have been a SummerSlam main event, but I think
I did.
Don't worry, it won't be long, John. I don't think he's going. I don't think it's going more 2 to 3 minutes. I think we're good there. I think you can rest easy. And so I think that match is it's going to be great. And I think anything else they do on top of it is just going to be icing on the cake and the cherry on top leading up to it. And then you got the wild card in Ron Killings. Again, I don't think they had this in the cards that this was going to be this big, especially when everything went down with the release and him coming back, and now he cut his hair off, and the crowd is just all over it, and they're eating it up, and I'm eating it up too. I absolutely love it. I've told you, like, we remember Ron Killings in TNA and how great a character that was, and just seeing a little glimpse of that in the WWE, even if it's for a short time, I think it's going to be great. And I'm with you. I think this Friday is going to lead into something else, because I don't think this one match is really going to end things. And it wouldn't shock me if Killings got a win somehow. I could see.
I mean, it's non-title, so
yeah, exactly. So I think it could be where maybe he does to Cena what Cena's done to Cody and him in winning those matches. I could see that, and then it could lead to something else. A championship match. Maybe we get another championship match at Saturday night's main event. Maybe I don't see that being SummerSlam, but could definitely see that as take it as long as the is hot. Let's go with it. I think it's great. And I love him attacking him twice, and then Nick Aldis is back there saying, "What do I need to do?" And Truth goes, "Give me Cena." So it's great. I love it. I'm eating it up. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I want to jump back here real quick. John says, "What's up, John?" John's a avid A2D follower and commenter. Says, "Why does WWE have to give him a retirement match? His in-ring work, even in his prime, has never been great." Listen. I can't debate that, but you can't also debate the history. I mean, the man essentially carried a company. Following the whole, him and Sting were the perfect foils for the NWO. At a time where everything was NWO, and in WWE side it was basically like DX. Like, you think of a guy in trunks and black boots, nothing special about him, who just comes in and kicks ass, and didn't have the promo work of a Stone Cold Steve Austin, and really took the pro wrestling world by storm. You can't take away the aura that was Bill Goldberg. It was when Andre was a great worker. It was before a lot of film was being shot, right? But he's a legend in his own right, and even what we've seen in the WWE capacity, it's legendary. And I think in this terms, it's the same kind of thing here. So I think that's why.
Yeah, and if I'm able to piggyback
Sure.
real quick, John, like I said, I am not, like, Goldberg was never really my guy, and I was that one that compared him to Stone Cold. I was WWF through and through the Attitude Era, and Goldberg was kind of me, the anti Steve Austin. But with that being said, his contribution in WCW, I mean, I think the downfall would have been much sooner than 2001 if it wasn't for Bill Goldberg. I think, to Chrome's point, he was that perfect catalyst to go in. Now, at the end, they didn't book him very well, turned him heel and did some dumb stuff, but nobody really remembers that unless you're going into the weeds. But you remember that undefeated streak, and you remember that Hogan match in the Georgia Dome, and you remember you remember when he lost too, and kind of just why do they do that? And I think I think Bischoff's gone on record saying that he regretted doing all that and all that stuff. So, but that being said, yeah, you can't take that away. I think his WWE stuff has been kind of all right. Like I said, that run with Lesnar, I think was his best work. That run in 2003 was kind of just like, all right, he came here for a year, he won the title. I don't think the audience was completely 100% behind Goldberg at that. Like, of course, he was getting the pops, but not where, I don't think it was what they were expecting. And I think his head wasn't in the game at that point as well. So it's kind of, that point, like I said, I think his run should have been done a while ago, but more power to him at his age to be able to even get in the ring. It's better than what I could do right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Our old buddy Rue here comments in, definitely going to put Gunther over. So at the very least, it makes Gunther stronger. I'm fine with it. Also, I want to hear Jesse call a Goldberg match. Oh my God!
I tell you what, that will be hilarious. What yeah, because he didn't call Goldberg matches. He was long gone WCW. He was the governor at that point. So it's gonna be and that will be fun. That will be fun.
Yeah, Rue thinks the Saudi match should end in controversy and start a build to their rematch cage match at SummerSlam. Too big of a money match not to do it at MetLife. So I think this one we're talking about CM Punk and John Cena.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I'm down for it, buddy. If it happens,
absolutely. You could do and I've said this to you, Chrome. I don't know how they're filling this SummerSlam card for 2 nights. I mean,
they'll find a way. They always do.
Right. I agree with you there, but I'm curious how that's going to work. Like, could you see a WWE Championship match on 2 nights? Could you see Cena do double duty, face Punk and then face Cody, or you could see there's a bunch of things you could see on the Raw side. You could see, will the World Heavyweight title be on the line twice? Will Seth cash in? There's a lot of intangibles in those 2 nights, and it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. We're winding down a little bit here. I might go an extra 5 because I want to get into 2 points. This is just quick thoughts here on, we got the Jacob Fatu face turn. Obviously, we're going to get the blow off here with Solo. Does this excite you at all?
I mean, I think it's been teased for so long that I think this probably could have been done a little sooner. I think Jacob clearly is over like Rover. I mean, he's just so great. Like his mic work is unbelievable. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of his work elsewhere, before now. And I'm super impressed. He's just got, like, for a big guy like that to be able to move around, and he's charismatic. He's just got it all. And he's perfect with the US title. I think he puts, he makes it better. That's somebody that, is good for the US title, like LA Knight was. Right. I do think he's going to need some challengers now, though. Solo will probably be the first one, but I think this was something that probably could have happened sooner. But I like how they've done it. I'm curious to see. Like, the only thing that kind of irks me a little bit is, he already said he's out. He said he hates you, Solo. Now Friday, we're like, I'm going to give you one more chance. I mean, it's teasing possibly. I know there's another possible, and they don't even have a name. What name are they? Right? Like, they Bloodline 2.0. Like, I don't even know if they even have a name. Solo's group. So, I mean, it's curious to see what they're going to do there. And of course, I would imagine the next title defense for Jacob will be Solo, but I think it could have happened sooner.
Yeah, unless this is a way to introduce, there's a lot. You could reintroduce Tama Tonga and some of these other guys that have been out. I know. I think Zilla and
Hukelu. You got If I'm saying that correctly.
They have a couple of guys who are signed in and waiting to come in. Are we having another family internal war? I don't know. Yeah, I think we need it to get to the end of this part of it, right? To fully do the face turn. I don't know that it needed to happen earlier, just because I'm not 100% sure that they anticipated Jacob to be as over as he is this quickly either. Like maybe it's a little sooner than later. I'm not sure. I think WrestleMania might have really changed a lot of things for him, because that crowd went insane for him.
Yeah, they did.
So, and in a match where he's with LA Knight, who's another guy who absolutely draws a massive pop.
Yep.
So, I think it'll be interesting to see, more so for his development and how does this story end, right? I think at some point we have to tie the bow on the bloodline thing. So we'll see where that goes. I did want to bring up two quick AEW topics. Obviously, we had the contract signing on Dynamite. These 4-hour AEW shows are awful, by the way. You just can't, especially Collision. Collision, no offense for AEW fans out there, Collision stinks. Like, it is like watching Superstars when it was on the network. It is not good. The only reason I feel like to watch Collision is it's a whole lot of nonsense and like FTR. And then every now and then, so like case in point this week, and we'll jump into this one first before we get to Okada and Omega. You know, they obviously have what happened with the super kick to Will Ospreay in the opening show on Dynamite. So then you have on Collision, they always have a weird backstage segment that is actually important. So like I'm watching for 2 minutes of something. It's 2 hours for like 2 to 4 minutes of meaningful shit. Yeah. So like I watch and it's like, so obviously they do a backstage segment with Hangman being interviewed, and then, you know, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson come up to him and basically say like, oh, it wasn't intended for him. It's supposed to be for Swerve. It's not our fault. You put them in this situation, yada, yada, yada. And they basically say like, you know, this was the plan all along for you to bring the title back to the Elite. And he says, I'd have a plan with you. If I ever burn a house, which I love this line, never burn a house down again, I'm going to make sure that you guys are in this house, basically. And then he does the whole stay away from me, stay away from Ospreay. And then at the very end, he adds in and stay away from Swerve. So then they all separate. Prince Nana comes out, peeks his head out and says, hey, boss, did you hear what he said? And he says every word. Really great backstage segment on the worst 2 hours of professional wrestling all week. And that includes any professional wrestling, maybe minus WoW, because WoW's not good. WoW is rough. And that's literally where I'm going to. So it's in competition with Collision. This is such a great. I think that I never really was crazy about Hangman the first 3 or 4 years of AEW, but man, this last year, his look, it's subtle, but it's developed. Like I look at him, and it's like he's like a modern day Magnum TA in terms of his look, and then just he's become like he's not Austin. But he's become this odd anti-hero where like he doesn't always do the right thing.
Yep.
But like, you know, like his passion and his intention, even if it results in him straying down the wrong path, and the fans get behind him anyway. You know, I'm not putting him on Austin's level, but just in terms of the type of anti-hero I kind of see him becoming, is this the best? And I think I know this answer, but is this the best version of Hangman Page that we've seen? And B, is he becoming the most compelling? And you know me, I'm more of a WWE guy than I am AEW, but I pay respect where it needs to be. Is he becoming the most interesting and developed character in professional wrestling right now with how this whole thing is unfolding?
I think he is to answer your question. Yes, I think this is the best Hangman that we've seen, and I am kind of with you. With I'm pro WWE. However, especially I was very interested at the very beginning of AEW, and one of the guys that I saw was Hangman Adam Page, and I thought he had a world of talent, but it was kind of just like he was a cowboy and didn't really know his backstory, and he did the buckshot lariat, which was pretty awesome. And I think he was the AEW champion. He was one of the first one. He wasn't the first. He was in the finals, and he lost to Jericho.
He lost to Jericho. Yeah, and he was just like
he's just a guy.
He likes beer. He hangs out.
Yeah. You didn't really know the backstory, and I think as this character's evolved, to your point, you've kind of seen, he has a little bit of a dark side, but he also has a way to build, the audience, and you've seen that. Like, I go back to Dynamite this past week, where the Death Riders attack him as he's coming to the ring, and then they tape his mouth shut, and Moxley's giving him we're waiting for you to be the guy and all this stuff. And you could hear the crowd, like, they're sympathizing for this character. They really, I think, are ready. I think ultimately it's a good moment right now too, because I think everybody is sick of the Death Riders. And I think specifically Jon Moxley being the AEW World Champion.
It's awful.
I think they've had their chance with Swerve, and I think Swerve's a compelling character as well. And my favorite is Will Ospreay, and I think Will Ospreay should be main eventing All In with Moxley as for the world title.
Agreed.
However, I think Hangman's story is to that it's deserving, and I think I understand why, and I think the crowd is behind him, and he's got that mean streak, and you've got that backstory with Hangman, or with the Young Bucks. Wouldn't shock me if they had somebody else under their sleeve where they swerve in, that kind of AEW booking. But I am hopeful that they're going to go and cross the finish line with Hangman and get that title off of Moxley finally. I think he's the right guy right now. If it's not going to be Swerve or Will Ospreay, I think it's Hangman is a good choice. Plus, then you have challengers after that. You've got Swerve and Ospreay. You've seen Swerve and Hangman have had their history, so there's definitely unfinished business there. Talk about the burning house and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely more meat on the bone for those matchups. And I think I can say that Moxley needs to go lose the title and go away for a while and completely come back there, because it's kind of like Jericho, where you've used Jericho up and up and up, and people are getting sick of it. And I think it's time for him to go away for a while, come back, and do something else. But
yeah,
it's the time's Hangman.
Yeah, this is the argument I made, right? Like, I think the AEW has the most beautiful world championship in the sport. It's a gorgeous title belt, and to not feature it on television for a year is absurd to me. And then on the other side of it, obviously, I was into this program when I thought we were getting somewhere like 4, 5, 6 months. We're going to lead to like a Shane McMahon, or there's going to be somebody that's motivating. But like, it essentially became the Blackpool Combat Club, adding Marina Shafir and dropping the name and just being like, oh, you guys don't deserve to be here. You guys don't represent pro wrestling. And I was just like, I don't know. It got real bad. And maybe maybe there's more to it. Maybe there was an idea that Shane might come in, and then that didn't happen, and they pivoted. However they pivoted, it's atrocious. And I agree with you. Like, I loved the early years of AEW because I saw different talent. They were what they said they were going to be. They were more inclusive. They were, you saw all kinds of characters. Love them or hate them. Like, I was not a Joey Janela guy, but they gave a guy like a Joey Janela a shot. Like they gave Sonny Kiss a shot. And I'm not saying that they needed to be main event people, but they featured the Lucha Bros and they were like top tier talent. Then they put them on Ring of Honor. Like, what are we doing? It's not even a televised show. And it just got really weird that the people who you started to build your first 3 years of credence with were kind of pushed to the side, like Scorpio Sky. I know there's time he's missed where he was hurt, but then a lot of time came up with Scorpio Sky where he was, like he's said just recently, he's healthy. He wants to wrestle, but they're pissed at him for an interview or something he gave. It's just very bizarre to me. They've never focused on the women's division. Then they bring in, now we have, Mercedes, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her. And she's getting, like, she's undefeated for a year and she's the belt collector. And listen, Toni Storm, they've done unbelievable with her.
Yeah.
She's been unbelievable. But I just feel like this company got so far away, and like for everything that they said they weren't going to be, I think that Tony realized real quick, like, you can't keep every talent when you have an inflated roster happy, and you need to sometimes let them go. The whole idea of, oh, I'm not going to release people, I'm going to pay them till they're a lot of people aren't happy with that. Some people want to be released.
Yeah.
And you're holding them hostage. And you learned a lot about the wrestling business as it went along. But I just look at it and I'm like, I just don't think that's why I have fallen out of favor as much with them. I still love, they have amazing match. I feel like I could not watch their weekly programming and I would love every pay-per-view they do.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think, it's just strange. It's strange how they can have excellent pay-per-views and great matches, but then their Dynamite and Collision are just a lot of it's unwatchable. In that there's not a lot going on, and what is going on is kind of just the same every week. The Death Riders attack somebody every week, and then you've got the Young Bucks running around, the EVPs, and I think they've tried with they definitely tried with the women's division. I think they're trying to build some talent there. You've got Megan Bain, and you mentioned Toni Storm and Mariah May, who's not there anymore, of course, but I think they've definitely tried, but I think that complete execution is just something that has completely been a miss for the most part. But their match quality is so good. Their pay-per-views are good. If you're looking for a good match, AEW's where, like, I would say, they say we're the best wrestle. I agree with that slogan.
Yeah.
But I think also there needs to be a reason why I'm seeing people in the ring. Why am I seeing them fight? There's a point to that. All right, I could see Kenny Omega fight Okada, and I think and I think we're going to talk about this, but I think they really leading up to that, you kind of knew the story, but there's the people who didn't watch that stuff in Japan. They did an excellent job with that video package. Like,
sure did.
You're showing their history. Why are we worried about these people? Why are we worried about these two? Why is it such a big deal? Why is it not just about the two titles and unifying them? There's a huge story there, and I think they did a really good job there with that. And they need to do more of that. Like, tell me why I want to see these two in the ring together, and why I should pay to watch this pay-per-view to see why should I watch All In? Like, give me a reason, So I think they did a good job with that one, but they need to do more of that.
Yeah, but then this is where they get in their own way, because the contract signing was an abomination, in my opinion. Like, we don't need that. You told the story.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of their biggest struggles, and we've talked about this numerous times, Eric, privately, is their storytelling. Like, I'm a professional wrestling fan for story and in ring. Like, I go to indie shows and I can watch great matches. And I'm not saying that AEW is not on that elevated status. They are, because they have the greatest. But it becomes a glorified indie because I can go to an independent show and then they do their next show a month later. I didn't watch any TV programming, and I have enough of an idea to know what's going on. They tell a good enough story that I can enjoy it. I remember that 2 months ago, or 3 months ago at Battleground at 2300, Battleground Championship Wrestling, these two people had a square off, had an issue, and it led to this matchup here. So, like, I feel like that's what I get with AEW. This is an instance where you can basically do that. You're unifying two titles with two of the biggest wrestlers in the most anticipated match of your company's entire history, probably. Like, it truly is. And they just overthink it. And it becomes way more than it needs to be. And now I'm like, it disengages me a little bit. Like, I think they booked Ospreay amazing. I was not an Ospreay fan because I just I watched his matches. He was great. But I kind of felt like he was kind of a douchebag on social media at times. Like,
Sure.
like, with the Randy Orton exchanges where, I know Randy doesn't endear himself either, but I do think there's a cadence of what this person's done compared to you. That being said, as the foil to Okada, I think he's come on national television in the United States and maximized every minute he's had, including promos. So I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
But I just see this and I'm like we don't, like, why do we need this? Why does Don Callis have to be involved in this? And now do we have another Callis family member? Like, the Heenan family was great, but at some point, like, enough's enough. And like half the roster, it feels like, have been a part of the Don Callis family at this point. And like Okada, again, I thought it was enough when he was kind of with the Elite. Like, they didn't even like really address the fact, is he not a part of the Elite now?
Right.
Like, where are we going? Like, there's no continuity to it. We just went one extreme to the other. And in my opinion, you took one of the most highly anticipated matches and you just completely blew the creative out of the water on it. Like, it's just, it's become ridiculous to me now.
So the first thing that I saw with this promo was, of course, the ending of the whole blood incident, and I had to, of course, watch it from the full part. And like I said, I think they started it really well. The video package was really well done. It told why should we be intrigued to this match any more than we already are, right? So then they get in the ring, and of course, contract signings, they're always going to end in something crazy, no matter what promotion you're watching. But then the Don Callis thing, I mean, one of our mutual friends, I think I kind of agree with the reasoning behind that whole thing was to get them to boo Okada, to make, to get of course they're going to boo Don Callis. They don't like him. They were chanting F Don Callis as soon as he came out to the ring. It gets the heat. All right. Yeah. That's all well and good. Attacking, all that stuff. And I'm okay with them playing the diverticulitis card because it's real. It's reality. We know that whole situation. But to do it in a way that's just like the whole blood thing, it's unnecessary. Like, you can do the diverticulitis, you can hit him, like you don't even need a baton. You just hit him. Like, if he's got diverticulitis, it's going to impact him. Just do a couple elbow drops off the top rope or something like that. I just think they didn't do themselves justice in that. I understand the why coming from them. If that's what they thought, like, all right, we're going to play into his diverticulitis. Now he's injured and now he's at a disadvantage going into All In. Okay, cool. But it could have been done differently. And I don't think you needed Don Callis either. I agree with you. I don't think Callis was needed. I understand the why, the heat aspect. You want to, legitimate, like, we want to cheer for Kenny. Like, you're not going to cheer for Okada. Okay. But I think it could have been done. It could have been done differently, and I think it definitely didn't need all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the feud in New Japan, it didn't matter who was getting cheered or who was getting booed. It was phenomenal. I don't think either of them, need to be a defined by the crowd face or heel.
No,
and that's like, I think if Omega wins, which I mean, to me, I almost feel like they painted where this is going already anyway.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
If Omega wins, you're like people who are AEW fans are very hardcore fans. They know what has and hasn't happened. Like, you really don't need to define to them, why it's important that Omega just won this title on this stage.
Right.
So, like, this is where it's overthinking the situation. It's trying to put your own stamp on something, and they do this a lot. And I say, our buddy Nick, I love him. He makes a lot of excuses for a lot of stuff, but dude, this is
yes,
like,
you have to be, you have to be intelligent. You got to. I think you got to take a test. You get a test, and if you pass, then you're an AEW fan. You get a certificate and everything. I heard.
Yeah, appreciate you, Dynasty, dropping your comment in there, and he's right. Like, it really, as an AEW fan, you're expected to kind of watch and know about everything in wrestling anyway. But it doesn't change the fact that creative, when it stinks, and it takes away from a match. So
absolutely.
Anyway, just wanted to touch on those points in there. Obviously, we ran a little late. Sorry, guys. There's a lot on the docket. But anyway, showing a little love to our sponsor as we get ready to sign off here, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our doctor, make them yours, Dr. Paul Vidal and his award-winning team. Any existing or new physical ailments, injuries, any kind of working program that you need to help get your body back into shape, his award-winning team can help you out in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey, or at that website on your screen, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Eric, great conversation. Appreciate you on your A2D debut. Great stuff today. Look forward to having you back in the future. You're going to be great when we do. So we're going to be doing a lot of things. And by the way, for a lot of you guys out there, as I know I came out guns a-blazing with interviews. There are more on the horizon, and I promise you that. But this is not going to be a one-trick pony show. It's not going to be just interviews. It's not just going to be recaps. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to have different, co-guest hosts on different things. Eric's going to be one of them. Phenomenal stuff. And I'm going to do some fun concept shows. Like, I'm going to do best Intercontinental Champion of all time. Best worst gimmick. All that kind of fun stuff. And have a panel. Yeah, you got to come. I've thought about doing it, maybe not necessarily on A2D's channel. We do have a sub channel for Lazy Booking. Just because it would run really long and we don't do shows this long. I would love to truly plan out a sit down, watch along of one of our favorite WrestleMania. So me and Eric and our buddies, our two favorite nostalgic WrestleManias are 8 and 9 for very different reasons, Eric. For me, I love 8 purely for the commentary because it is not a good WrestleMania. There's a lot of Hall of Famers in it. Not a good WrestleMania, minus, you have like Brett and Roddy Piper. But Heenan and Monsoon, it's their last WrestleMania together. And I just think it's so special for that. And then I love 9. The commentary, again, is tremendous between Jim Ross's first Mania and obviously Heenan and Savage. But, like, the gimmick of it, the first outside WrestleMania, there were surprises, 2 doinks, Hogan coming back. It just has a special, yes. Oh my God. Has a special place in my heart. I would love to schedule maybe around Mania season, like a setup, like a real true watch along.
I'm in.
I know.
I'm in.
Yeah. So react to it.
Yeah. So real quick. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. The 8 and so WrestleMania 8 was the first WrestleMania I watched fully. Like I had been in and out, like I was how old was I in 92? I was 11, 10 or so. I got in a little late in the game. But went in guns a-blazing as soon as, you know, I saw that stuff and ate it all up. So you know, that has a nostalgic feel. And then of course 9, you know, of course, like the you know, the Hulkster stuff, and now looking back and now seeing the, you know, the documentary that came out before
which was tremendous,
which was fantastic. It was footage that, like, wow, like just awesome. And I'm glad they kind of waited to do that, because it made it that much more special to talk about that. And I don't know if you saw how Sam Roberts, I posted a tweet about him being like, that Doink storyline was the most. He said that he'll die on the hill of that being one of the greatest swerves in WWF history. and I said something. I was like, and I tagged you in, and I was like, hey, we're on that hill with you, buddy. Like,
we are.
And he retweeted. He's like, it was the best. Like, he was awful. It was cool to see. I was like, finally, somebody's joined the club and understands.
Someone that gets it.
Finally gets it, man. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I'm all in, and I hope you guys all enjoyed the show today. And I'm happy to be here, and happy to contribute as much as I can. And thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, man. No, it was great stuff. And as you know, I'm Chrome. This is Eric Archer right here, the Arch over here. And for myself and everybody here at A2D Radio, make sure you guys stay tuned. It's about 7:50, about an hour and 3 minutes from now, a little less. Hockey Happy Hour, Niche Nights back here on A2D Radio. We're happy to be a part of it again with our favorite tag team, the Hockey Guys. Or I guess it's not Hockey Happy Hour anymore. It's Flyers Talk A2D. So the OG Hockey Happy Hour guys / Flyers Talk A2D, bringing you all Flyers and hockey talk with the NHL Finals, which has been tremendous going on. Go Edmonton. I hope they finally get one up there in Canada, because I absolutely love Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
But make sure you guys check them out, show them support, love, comment, subscribe to A2D Radio. Check their show out. Make sure you get in there and participate with them. For myself, for Eric Archer, and everybody here at A2D Radio, as I let you guys know every week, grab somebody out there that you love. Let them know you love them. Give them a hug. And, yeah, have a great evening.